Hello friends, welcome back. I wanted to do something a bit different, so today we're going to be taking a look at Namor, who has quickly become one of my favorite champions in the game. Now, Namor's burst damage potential has been well documented, but the thing that made him most appealing to me when he was introduced was his utility. My favorite types of champions in this game are those with the, quote, set it and forget it types of abilities, and Namor is no exception. His signature ability, when it's fully maxed out, not only absorbs 100% of all damage, but also returns that damage to the opponent. So some of the counters I'm going to show you just kind of work automatically, and some may require either a small tweak to your playstyle or properly timing one of Namor's animations. So let's get right to it. Now the first fight I wanted to show you today is a KILLMONGER fight. This is from an Alliance War that we had maybe a week ago or so. This was a KILLMONGER mini-boss on debuff immune, so you see I'm not proccing any bleeds here. He also has additional energy resistance, which is that little blue shield icon with a lightning bolt. So you notice when I hit into his vibranium armor, I'm not getting any reverb damage back, so I can really just play this fight normally without worrying about dying halfway through. Because of that energy resistance, the damage back that I'm absorbing and then it's supposed to be giving back to him is really mostly nothing. You'll rarely see a little red number there when I'm hitting back into him. And that is, again, because of that energy resistance. So, in a normal KILLMONGER fight on another node, you'll be returning all of that reverb damage back as energy damage, but the purpose of this fight, I just wanted to show that I'm not taking anything back myself. Second fight I wanted to show you is against ELECTRO. So again, this is just something that kind of works automatically. Normally when you hit into ELECTRO, either his block or hit him unblocked, he's going to return static shock damage to you. Namor ignores all of this and returns all of that damage back to ELECTRO. And since he isn't immune to his own damage, you can see a few hundred damage extra every time I'm hitting into him. This is a pretty low-powered ELECTRO. It's from Act 5, I think. So it's a matter of survivability. I'm planning on taking my Namor into Labyrinth when I do my ELECTRO path. I think Brian Grant just did a path with ELECTRO the other day to try and test him out. But Namor might be the best and easiest counter to ELECTRO that exists in the game. Number 3 is KORG. So KORG has a annoying ability based on his signature ability where he returns Thorn's damage back to you on every medium attack when he has those rock stacks up. So Namor ignores all of this, returns that damage back. Since KORG has decreased energy resistance, you're actually doing increased damage back to him more than what was going to be taken by you. So again, Namor just kind of works in this case and is really one of the best KORG counters in the game. Number 4 is Power Sting, specifically the type of Power Sting that Kabam sometimes includes on nodes with Yellow Jacket, where it is up 100% of the time, so any use of a special at any point in time is going to kill you. One really cool thing to note in this fight is that Power Sting triggers on every individual hit of a special attack. So you'll see my special one is like 4 or 5 hits, and you'll see me give damage back to him on every hit. So just one special one activates Power Sting 4 or 5 times, and that Yellow Jacket just got destroyed. So this is really helpful. Normally against Power Sting champs like Yellow Jacket or Emma Frost, the easiest thing to do is just not get hit and therefore not trigger the Power Sting. But on this particular node, Namor is a perfect counter. Number 5 is QUAKE. So QUAKE gives damage back when you hit into her block, but also it's easy, especially if you're playing against a stun immune QUAKE, to inadvertently activate the aftershock charges that she places on you. So if you time your attacks right, specifically if you are inside an attack animation, so there I purposely got hit with the heavy there to get one. If you are inside an attack animation, when the aftershock charges expire, all the damage that you would be taking is therefore sent back to QUAKE. So you can see I sent back a couple hundred damage to her. This is only a duel, so it's pretty low, but very useful, especially for QUAKEs in Alliance War. Next up we have Mephisto. Now Mephisto does require a little bit of change in your playstyle. You really want to do 4-hit combos and then back off in case he activates his aura. You don't want to end a combo with a medium and then be stuck inside the aura outside of your animation. So you can really mitigate most of the incinerate damage as long as you play around this well enough. So it's not really a 100% full counter unless you play perfectly. So you can see after the special attack I was stuck next to him and I did take some damage, but for the most part in a pinch, if you don't have an outright incinerate immune champion, Namor is going to work perfectly. Next up we have Red Skull. Red Skull has an annoying ability where if you hit into his block, he's going to power drain you and also give you damage back. So in a pinch, Namor works to remove those armor up buffs, because when he gets 10 of those up, he really becomes difficult to kill. So the power drain will still affect you when you hit into his block, but you will not be taking any of that burn damage, and you will also be removing his armor up buffs. So you can see I'm really just trying to make him more vulnerable by hitting into his block. I'm still at 100% health. I haven't taken any damage. Again, you'll be getting the power drain, but you won't be dying, and the fight will be ending a bit quicker. So, in a pinch, I think Namor really works in this fight. So number 8 is the Special Delivery node. This is from Act 6. So this again requires a little bit of a change in your playstyle. What you want to do here is you want to play until you have 1 charge remaining, and then back off, and then start a combo with your first medium, removing that final charge. So I've got 1 charge left, I'm backing off, I'm going to try and parry, and what's going to end up happening here is when the 4-second degen timer activates, throw my special there, the entirety of that degen is returned to Yellow Jacket instead of with me. So you can kind of play around this with Namor, as long as you have a special attack ready, which you should, because that's the entire idea of using up those 15 charges. As long as you have one available, the lengthy animation can really cancel out that 4-second timer on the degen, and you're ending up doing additional damage back to the opponent. So a pretty good counter with really only a small change to how you play. Number 9 is Spiked Armor. This is from Road to the Labyrinth. So normally you think of Spiked Armor and you think Crossbones because he doesn't crit at all. Namor has a similar, set it and forget it counter to this, where, even if he crits, he's going to send that crit damage back to the opponent as energy damage. You don't have to change your playstyle at all with a Spiked Armor node. You can just, go ham, attack as much as you want, and it'll just work. So really good counter to Spiked Armor nodes. Number 10 is the Micro Reflect node. This is from Variant 2. This is a global node that's present in every fight in Variant 2, and will return damage back to non-extra large opponents whenever an attack is glanced. So you can see here I am glancing or having attacks glanced, but I'm not taking damage back. The only kind of caveat with playing Namor in Variant 2 is that there is something like an 85% chance that your Special 3 is going to be glanced. And if that happens, then you are not going to proc the Fury that you get with your Special 3. So, your damage potential is a bit limited because, you really want that Fury up, either 1 or 2 of them if you can get both, in order to end the fight as quickly as possible. But if you don't have a lot of extra large champions on your roster, Namor really works in a pinch here. Number 11 is the Hurt Locker node. This is also from Act 6. So the Hurt Locker node punishes you with a bit of degen if you use the same special attack twice in a row. So what I'm going to do here is intentionally use my Special 2 twice. And because the Special 2 has a lengthier animation than the Special 1, I'm going to return most of the degen back to Moon Knight here. I think the degen timer is 5 seconds. There's something like you have to land a heavy attack within 5 seconds or you're going to take a decent amount of degen. So the other good thing about using your Special 2s is that they also come with a stun component on them. So after your special 2 triggers, you go right back in and continue your attack animations, and therefore you won't be taking any of the degen. This also works well with kind of his Imperious Rex ability. If you can't necessarily get to your special 3 when Imperious Rex starts and your power has drained too much, you can just keep firing off them special 2s here, as you can see, and then the degen will be sent back to Moon Knight. So not the best counter. The best counter is probably just to play with the node, but maybe a little bit of extra damage if you tweak your style a bit. Number 12 is the Explosive Personality node. Now this is a node where if you hit into an opponent's block 5 times, you will take a portion of your health. I think it's 25% of your health as damage. So what I'm actually doing here, just to show you how this works, is I'm only hitting into Howard's block. I'm not hitting him unblocked at all. And you can see that every 5 hits, he's taking a pretty decent chunk of his life in damage back from me. So I'm going to parry stun here to remove that self-repair. So you can essentially win a fight here without ever hitting into the opponent. Now this is just in Act 5, so obviously later on in endgame fights and in war it's going to be a little bit more difficult, but this is absolutely a legitimate tactic, especially for a champion like maybe MAGIK on Explosive Personality, where you don't really want to bring her over bar of power. You can just continuously hit into her block. You're giving her almost no power from attacking into her block, so she might hit limbo once, twice, maybe 3 times. So on a node like that, this kind of strategy would really work. Speaking of MAGIK, number 13 is her. So what you want to do against a MAGIK with Namor is similar to the way you play with Pacify. Bring her up to just under a bar of power, and then do a combo attack followed by a special attack to bring her over a bar. So that will really eliminate all of the limbo damage that you're going to take because of the animations are still in progress. So really, really helpful. Next one is against my gal Morningstar. So when you hit into a duped Morningstar, you're going to be taking bleed damage. As long as you are hitting her, though, and if you have the Willpower Mastery, you're going to be healing up most of, if not more, than the bleed damage. So this is a duel, so the bleed damage isn't that much, but in a war situation or maybe in an AQ situation, the attack values are going to be ramped up, so you might not be fully recovering all of the bleed damage, but you will be mitigating a lot of it and returning that back to her. So again, maybe not the best counter, but he works if you play it right. Number 15 is Domino. So Domino has a really great, and by great I mean awful, ability called Critical Failure, where she causes your abilities to fail and you take degen. However, with Namor, since he really only procs abilities when he's attacking, you're only going to take degen damage if your bleed fails on the second medium. So I have taken a little bit of damage. It is not nearly as much as it would have been in a normal 5-hit attack pattern. So again, not the perfect counter, but it works. You're not going to be killing yourself with degen. It's more than likely that she will be dead before you are. Number 16 is ICEMAN. So ICEMAN starts if he's duped with a cold snap on you. If you play aggressively at the start of the fight, you can really just have mitigate or eliminate all of the cold snap damage and return it back to him, especially if you have the Willpower Mastery. So you can see I ended the cold snap with 100% health, and it was only after I did a parry that I took some additional damage. So some high-powered Icemen in war will be a huge pain in the butt. This really helps to eliminate that. The last one I have is Symbiote Supreme. Now, Symbiote Supreme puts a stagger on you if he's duped every so often. And then if you dex him, he's going to remove that dexterity buff when you try and use it. So what you end up doing here is just attack normally. When your dex is nullified, instead of you taking that nullified damage from him, you just send it right back to him. So There's two examples in this fight here. I've taken no damage despite dexing and pretty much playing as I normally would, so pretty good counter. So finally, I have a couple of honorable mentions here. So with Havoc, you can completely eliminate the plasma detonate damage if you time your attacks. So when you're about to be detonated, you're in an attack animation. The trouble with this is that there is no timer, so it's really difficult to know when you're playing when the timer is about to expire and you're about to take that damage. So you really just have to play aggressively. With Mysterio, if you bait his special 1 and he gets that reflection gas, if you time your attack so that you are in an attack animation when the reflection gas timer ends, you aren't going to take any of that reflection damage back. You are going to send it, essentially double damage back to Mysterio. But again, this is really, really difficult to pull off. And finally, with Omega Red, you can attack into him and kind of eliminate a lot of that degen damage from the spores. However, since Namor procs bleed on his medium attacks, you're really going to be activating the death field, so not a really good counter at all. You could probably do it if you had nobody else left, but that's about it. So thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know if you found any other great uses for Namor, and I will see you next time.